All right. All right. Bless up. It's another beautiful Wednesday here on Major Key Boxing. It's another Ring 10 Wednesday. And we have Matt Friergo and Tyrone, the Harlem Butcher Jackson today. All right. So we're going to do it a little different today. We're going to wait till, the crowd starts flowing in. And we're going to take a couple of questions from the audience and so forth. But pretty much we're going to give an overview of what it is that Ring 10 does, and then we're going to take some questions. It's going to be a Q&A day today, questions and answers, because I know a lot of you are asking a lot of questions I couldn't answer. So here's your chance to talk to the president of Ring 10 and to talk to a board member of Ring 10. And Ring 10 is boxing's only charity that makes sure all the monies goes to the fighters that needs it. Am I correct, Miss? Am I correct, Matt?
Yes, 100. Probably
Uh,
the only thing I know of that donates 100, uses 100% of the money that it makes to help a fighter.
all right, and then the aforementioned Tyrone, the Harlem Butcher Jackson. Give us a little bio on yourself, Tyrone.
Well, I'm part of the board as a sergeant of arms with Matt Fuego with Ring 10. Um, I was there from day one when we left Ring 8. So I've been working next to Matt since day one, and he's been getting a lot of things done that a lot of people's really not, like really. We want to be noticed for the work that we do. That's one of the biggest issues because we're doing a lot of incredible things. You would not believe the things that we have done to help put smiles back on fighters' face. That's the biggest thing for me.
All right. Well, if you want to share some of those stories, man, you can go. Feel free to share the ones that you can share.
Okay.
hmm Go ahead. Yeah. Matt or Tyrone, you have any stories? You have any stories you can share?
I'll give you a good one. One of the first things we ever did, we met at a contact with a woman in
And
Florida.
come in right behind Matt.
What's that?
I'm sorry, Matt. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Contacted a woman in Florida whose brother was a fighter. Oh my gosh, 40, 50 years. And he got hurt in a fight, died and they buried him in the hole in the ground.
Your phone is breaking up, Matt.
Oh, you can't hear me that well?
No. Your signal's going in and out. It's going in and out.
Is there
Maybe you could move a little bit, and maybe that'll clear up the signal some.
Okay.
Yeah, maybe move. Yeah.
Well, so the fighter, I'm going to say 50 years, and they buried him in a hole in Queens with no
Same
headstone.
thing.
Can you hear me? Did you hear that?
I can hear you. Go.
Okay. So they buried him in the ground with no headstone. And she contacted the other boxing, whatever they are, and they said that that's not what they do. So she was frustrated and ended up calling Matt from Ring 10. And I said, so tell me what happened. Well, he died from an injury in the ring. They buried him in the ground in Flushing, New York, and he has no headstone or nothing. Long story short, we took care of the headstone. We built it. We designed it. We had it put in. We had a ceremony, and we flew up the sister and the husband who live in Florida, the only living relatives, so that they could join us in having a ceremony with him. And we buried him. We put his soul at rest. From 80 years ago. I can't remember how long ago it was, but it was a long, long time ago. And he laid in a hole in the ground with a number until we did what we did. And I always think that's pretty cool. Troy, I can't hear you.
I'm sorry, because I'm on mute. That's a powerful story, and yeah. Tyrone, I was going to ask you to give a story I was gonna ask Bruce. Bruce goes to jump up here because I know he had some questions he wanted to ask. So feel free to jump on, Bruce. But go ahead, Tyrone, and tell us a story.
We had another story. I think I told you this last week about Howard Davis, the Olympic gold medalist. He was fighting stage 4 lung cancer, and he wanted to leave his 4 golden gloves to his wife and his kids, and that's pretty hard to do because you got to go through a lot of formality just to get the golden gloves.
Oh,
Matt,
it was
I don't know what he did on that phone, but somehow he got 4 pair of the golden gloves with a chain to go to match it. And Howard Davis was so thrilled. I mean, it brought tears to his eyes. I mean, it was. I mean, that was like a real tough moment there. And he was a fighter because he wanted to live. He wasn't just coming just to get the golden glove just to leave it for his kids and his wife until he passed on, because he really wanted to fight to live, because he never smoked, he never drank, never really partied, hard. And it was, that was like a real tough moment. We got a couple of other big moments in there too that I can't think of. I remember this guy Henry Haskell. Matt, just thought of the guy, and nobody even know the guy. I don't even think the guy won 5 fights. But what Matt did for him that day, I mean, he didn't even sit down to enjoy. He enjoyed himself getting up, signing autographs, taking pictures, and nobody even knew who he was. But for that moment, for that one moment, even though you probably was a nobody, he made you somebody for that one day. And that everybody that left that place that day was like, Jackson, that was really nice what Matt did. They like, everybody just couldn't believe that it wasn't Mike Tyson, it wasn't Muhammad Ali. It was just a regular, everyday hard fighter that went to the gym, worked out, trained hard, got a couple of fights, looked decent, and then here come 30, 40, 50 years later, somebody honor you out of nowhere. That was real. That was powerful.
I love hearing these stories, man, because you know what? We always hear these fans that say, we want to help the fighters, we want to help the fighters, right?
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
That
I'll give you another one.
Uh-huh.
I'll give you another one. And this is another powerful one. Livingston Bramble and Boom Boom Mancini. They haven't talked, seen each other in like 30 years after the 2 fights that they had. And they wasn't real enemies, but the way, how you hype the fight up back then, the black guy against the Italian stallion, that in itself, made the fight tough for both of them. But Matt found a way to get Boom Boom Mancini and Livingston Bramble to New York so we could honor both of them. And that was a big moment because they really didn't like each other. But for that moment, Matt made sure that they shook hands, maybe cried, whatever, just to bring them two back together after, 30 something years being apart.
Wow. How did you do that,
Yeah.
man? I mean, if you don't mind sharing that story, how did you do that?
So they were set up to be arch enemies, and Ray Mancini was the golden boy of that era. He was the Italian American fighter, the dream. He fought for his father who died, and so when Bramble beat him, they just had bad words. They had bad blood, and they hadn't spoken like 26 years. Not a word spoken to each other. So I called each of them up, and I was friends with both of them. And I asked them both, would you mind coming up to the event? Oh, we'd love to come to the event. I said, listen, the other guy is going to be there. Would you mind coming up if he's going to be there on the dais with you? And they said, yes, Matt, for you, I'll do it. So they met after 40 years of not speaking, and they both were honored on our dais. And it was really, it was pretty impressive. It was pretty impressive.
Yeah, it was. I'm pretty sure it took a lot of, leg work and time get all that
Yeah.
done. Yeah, but we got Bruce Goals in the building. How you doing, Bruce?
Shout out, brother. How you doing tonight?
Good. Bruce is one of the, he's one of the supporters of the show. He loves the show. He's really interested in Ring 10. I know he had some questions for you, so go ahead, Bruce. The floor is yours.
Yeah, yeah, bro. I just, my heart goes out to all everything you guys are doing, man. I've been in situations myself, and I know there are agencies out there who will help boxers who are in need, who will help, just Americans, especially if you have a Social Security card, because that's basically, a guarantee for the government to help us when we're down and out. But the problem is that people just don't know how to go out and get this help. And there are agencies out there. There are law firms that deal on a contingency basis where you reach out to them, and they'll set you in the right directions. They'll make sure you keep appointments. They don't get paid unless you get a check. And it may take several months, and they'll get the first check as their fee. But it just things like this that have to be done. And like I sent an email to Matt and Rich over at Ring 10, just to offer what little I can offer, man. Because the way I look at it is every boxer that we can help in any way, to me that just makes me feel better, man. These fighters deserve so much more. And when I hear these stories, man, I lived through Mancini and Livingston Bramble, and man, they hated each other. Oh, it was was a war. Oh, that just melts my heart when I hear that they got together like that, bro. And shout out to you, Tyrone. Shout out to you, man. And shout out to you, Matt, for being a part of this, man.
Thank you.
Yeah, but what a lot of people don't understand is that the reason Matt is so serious about what he does. This is what a lot of people don't understand. We know that there's a lot of people out there doing other things. They got a Hall of Fame benefit there, or another Hall of Fame benefit there. There's that, but we're the only boxing organization that's taking care of fighters. These other organizations, I'm not gonna say what they do. I don't know what they do. Honestly, I really don't care. But I'm telling you what we do, and the recognition that everybody else gets. And here's a tiny club called Ring 10 that's doing big things, and a lot of people do know. It's not like people don't know. You in the boxing world, you in the boxing world. You know what goes on in boxing. Because one person, boxers are like bunching cheddars. They like women. They like to talk. Oh yeah, I got this done from Matt Fuego Ring 10. I got that done from Matt Fuego. But you rarely ever hear anybody else saying, well, I got this from Ring whatever, and I got that from Ring whatever, and I got this from this Hall of Fame, and I got this from the WBC, and I got that from the WBA. You don't hear that. The only thing you're gonna hear is, if we can help you, we're gonna find a way to help you. We're not gonna say, well, okay, we only got $40, so we're gonna give you $40. Goodbye. No, we're gonna give you $40 every week until you get back on your feet. It's not like we're gonna take care of you for the rest of your life unless really in bad shape, like Joe McClellan and Wilfredo Benitez. We will make sure that you get something. We'll make sure that you'll get on your feet solid. Now, it's a lot of people that we help return the favors. Once they got on their feet, they sent us money. It's not that we only giving out and nobody else gave back. It's a lot of fighters did give back.
Hey, Tyrone, do you want to hear another story, Troy? Are you
Sure,
good?
sure, 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 sure. Definitely.
Okay, so I met a fighter. I met a fighter that had he got hurt in a fight, and they had to do emergency surgery on his brain. And when they do surgery on his brain, I'm in this business. They take out a chunk of his brain, chunk of his skull. They do the surgery, and then they usually put the skull back. And if not, they'll keep it until it can go back, and then they'll put it back, right? And they'll close him back up. The problem was they threw it out. They threw it in the garbage.
They threw out what, man?
His piece of that should be his
Come on.
Oh, all right.
right. So they took the trunk out. I don't want to get graphic, but they mistakenly threw it out. And he, for 20 or 30 years, was walking around with a a piece of his skull that was missing. And long story short, he met me and we started talking. I had him come to the meeting, and then he told me what happened. And I said, "Come on, are you serious?" He says, "Yeah, look, you could see my brain pumping blood underneath the skin." Long story short, I was in the business. I hooked him up with the surgeon. I hooked him up with the hospital, and I was actually he used my products because I wasted them as garbage, and we put them in and we fixed his skull. And forever he had it was protected. He had no protection. If somebody threw something or if a cup fell off the counter and hit him in the head, he would possibly die because there was no protection. And long story short, we took care of that. And it's crazy what this organization does and what we have the ability to do.
Yeah, that sounds wow.
You don't hear
That's
that kind of well,
that sounds like a sci-fi something you reading from a sci-fi magazine or something. But that's incredible, man. That's
Yes.
definitely incredible. Now, Bruce, I know you had a social security. Did you ask your social security question, Bruce?
No, well, see that story totally blew my mind, Matt. I mean, wow. I mean, like you truly are a grassroots organization, man. And you have to get a man's belly full before you can get him on his feet, and you have to get his
Yeah.
medical problems, these basic things. They're so important and they're so overlooked. And it's like, who's going to pay for this? And it's so frustrating when these guys are starting from square one, and that's why it takes organizations like yourselves and the other social organizations out there. You got to help the brothers, man. Somebody has to make that first step, and there's so much administrative paperwork to go through to get the kind of help that they really need. For not just the short term, which absolutely must be taken care of, but I look at long term because I'm one of these. I'm an old G, bro. I've been around for I got a record of 66-0. I want to keep it that way. And I learned how we have to ask. The government does not give us these benefits, and we have to look for them. We have to ask for them. But yet there are agencies out there who will once we give them our okay to do this, they'll take the first step because it has to be taken somewhere. But you guys are taking it way back than that. Getting these guys injured for medical injuries that happened. God, how many years ago did that operation happen?
We did that about 3 or 4 years ago.
And how long did the gentleman walk around with a piece of his skull missing?
About 30 or 40 years.
Whoa.
Yeah.
I mean, things like that where who's going to take a responsibility and do something like that aside from an organization that helps down and out fighters, man. And that's what I'm here for, to see if there's anything that I can do to help the brothers and maybe get some administrative this bullshit going on and and these stories are very, very inspirational. I'm going to just be quiet and listen to them and learn, man.
Well, one thing you could do,
Mm-hmm.
Ring 10 organization. You become a member, a lifetime member, ring10.org, and then you at least get notified about everything that's going on. And if something interests you, you say, "Hey, I'm going to be there. I want to go to the event. I want to help you raise funds, whatever it is." But if you go to ring10.org, you see everything we do.
I tell you what, we've done quite a few shows, but you know what, Matt and Tyrone, I've never asked you about any female fighters that you've helped.
Oh yeah, we helped.
Yeah.
We helped quite a few, at least.
Yeah, Valerie Clark.
Yeah.
We help Clark. I mean, there's not that many female fighters, right? Tyrone, there's not that many.
Well, it's not that many female fighters equivalent to what male fighters, but we helped quite a few that needed some help to get on their feet, and we did it. I mean, it was a couple of guys that wouldn't even boxers that Max still helped out. So, like when we get the call, we just answer the call. We don't say, well, we can't do this or we can't do that. We're gonna make sure that that individual will be all right. We don't care who it is. We don't care if it's a low level fighter. We don't say it's a top fighter. It's a couple of top fighters that we help, but we're not gonna say their names. But it's it's
was thinking
hard
about the
sometimes.
injuries. Yeah, I was thinking about the injuries with the female fighters. You ever seen one that was as bad as the one that Matt told us about, the gentleman with the brain and all that, or anything like on that level, or no?
Now,
No, no, no,
there's no,
no, not not that they was injured. No, not well, really not the females. No.
Okay, and uh, okay, that's a good starting point. Why do you think that is? That the females, I guess, it seems take less punishment than men. Is that they stops the fight faster, or what happened? But you don't see a lot.
I mean that's a good question. The the answer is we're never gonna know because we're never gonna you know reach out to the fighters that were, let's say, fighting around in the late 70s, coming into the early 80s. A lot of them, how women are. Women, they it's not that they disappeared, they move on, get a job, raise a family. You know, male male fighters usually stay around boxing. They go to the fights, they'll go to the gym, they'll try to launch another comeback. It looks like when the females are finished, they're finished. You don't see too many hollering saying they're making a comeback, or they want to get back in the ring to fight again. Just look at Leela Ali. She fought and then she went on to other things.
Yeah, yeah,
Christy
yeah. She
Martin,
became a
she
mother,
fought,
got
she went on to
married,
other
and
things.
yeah,
If you notice, like the big names in boxing, they tend to really get back up on their own feet and do their own thing.
yeah. And I tell you what, man. This is for the folks in the chat. I'm gonna repeat myself. It's yeah, it's Q&A day today. So if you have any questions for Ring 10, just feel free to press the link and jump on. And you could
Hmm.
ask Matt and Tyrone any questions you like to ask about, Ring 10, or how you could help, how does it work. We're here to answer your questions. So feel free to jump on and ask any questions that you'd like. It's an open panel tonight. So, and I know every week we talk about how we could grow the program and so forth. Because to me, I go on a lot of different. I used to go on a lot of different platforms, but it's all garbage talk, and stuff like this needs to be out there more because it's serious. It's serious talk and it's beneficial talk. So how do we how do we push past the drama and actually get something serious done like this out there to the people?
well,
Well,
Troy, you got to make it clear that
go man.
this is one sport, one professional sport of maybe 20 that has no union, it has no benefits, it has no medical, and it has no retirement. Which means when you fight, when you walk in the ring, that's when you're going to get paid. Whether you get knocked out in 1 minute or 10 rounds, that's when you're going to get paid. You walk out, you get paid. Don't call me unless I need you again. Okay? So this sport is not an ongoing sport. It's not like football, baseball. There's a season and there's a union. There is no union for boxing. So they fight individuals. They are subject to whatever the promoter wants to pay them or charge them for the fight. It was funny in the movie Rocky when they paid him in that first movie. They said, "Okay, so the locker is $25 and the towel was $10," and they hit him with all these fees. And they said, "Okay, here's your money, $26." And he walked out. Look, all I have left. Well, that's what they do with a fighter too. And then he's got to pay his tax. He's got to pay his trainer, his cut, and all other fees. And he's got to pay Uncle Sam. And what's left to him is relatively nothing. But people they see Mike Tyson or Sugar Ray Leonard or Tommy Hearns making millions, and they all fighters are making money when they're not. They don't make near that kind of money. Not near it.
All right, thank you, Matt. And we have a brother that's he always supports the show. He's always on here showing us love. We got Mr. Sinister. Don't let the
Yeah.
name fool you. He's a good guy. He's a good guy. Go ahead, Mr. Sinister.
What's up,
I
Mr.
want
Mr. Sinister?
thank you, gentlemen, both for coming on the show. I really appreciate it. And I'm just going to ask a question. Due to you guys seeing like firsthand the severity of what long-term effects could do to a boxer, do you think that females should be allowed to go 3 rounds?
Who do you want to answer it?
Either it doesn't matter. Just both, I guess. Both
Okay,
opinions.
you said 3 rounds in as a regular 3-minute
Female
round.
fight. Yes.
Doesn't
I
make
put
a
it
difference.
like this: that's up to the fighters. You
Yeah.
know, that's up to the women. You got some strong women that's that can endure 3 minutes of, let's say, a 10-round fight or a 12-round fight. And they always want to be, they always scream at equal opportunity. So that'll be their chance to prove that they can go 3 minutes. 3 rounds or 3 minute 12 rounds or 10 rounds.
All right.
I wouldn't see a problem with that. No.
Matt?
They're going to be affected the same way affected. Listen, I'm not racist or sexist or anything like that, but I'm just not a big believer. Me personally, I'm not a big believer in women boxing. It's just not for me. But they're gonna suffer the same way. They're gonna suffer the same way that a man fights. Also, when you beat the brains in, you're gonna develop to different degrees called CTE. The same thing that the football players are suffering from. Not the boxers, right? Because the boxers are punchy. We're just punch drunk, which is a crock. That is a total crock. We are suffering from the same disease that football is suffering from, that they sued for and they won a major lawsuit. Boxing suffers the same thing 10 times worse. And if a girl wants to fight, then she's going to choose the risk. That's her choice. I'm not a fan of it. But that's her choice.
Okay, I have a question for everybody now. You know what, Matt? You brought up CTE, and you always talk about that. Why don't you break that down as to what exactly is CTE? Because I don't think everybody knows what that is.
Well, boxers grew up with the name punch drunk, and unfortunately, my parents called me punchy when I was young, when I was a young fighter, because I was suffering right away from head trauma. So, football discovered head trauma, and they discovered a disease in the football players' brains when they did autopsies, and they called it CTE, which is chronic traumatic encephalopathy, which is constant trauma causing swelling of the brain, which is going to be long-term damage of the brain. We just called it, he's punchy. He's punchy, because that's not so bad. The fighter suffers the same thing that the football players suffer, CTE, and they sued and won a $1.2 billion lawsuit because they sued the owners for withholding evidence. Has not happened in boxing, and nobody's ever been paid off. But that's what these fighters are suffering from. Not punch drunk, CTE. That's my story.
Okay, now I know for years there's been this talk about the headgear transferring from the amateurs to the pros, right?
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Would that help any, or would that hinder? I mean, I have an idea because I used to box, but
that's not gonna help you. In fact, that'll get you more punchy than without a headgear, because remember, you hitting a pad that has a pad that's still hitting your head. It's like I don't know if have you been watching Manny Pacquiao train
yes,
for his upcoming fight?
yes.
Well, I saw his trainer beating his stomach with sticks, saying that to absorb pain, so he'd be able to take the pain. I think that's the craziest thing I ever seen in my whole life. It's so if you're gonna beat his stomach so he could take the pain, because I don't care how many sit-ups you can do, you can do 10,000. You can get dropped with a body shot. Period. I don't care who you are. Same thing. What he's gonna do with his head? He's gonna take those same sticks and hit Pacquiao in the head with him, so he can take a punch in the head or the jaw. It's the wacky stuff that these trainers do to make them feel better than the next trainer. Now, we had world champions going all the way back to the 1800s. They wasn't doing all these crazy things, but they still was physically fit. They looked good when they look in the ring. and they all came out the same way. That it's just a lot of crazy things that they do in boxing now to make the fighter have an advantage over another fighter.
Okay.
It's
Yeah, because I was
it's
thinking also with the headgear, it cuts your vision as well, right?
Of course.
well, it depends if it's if it's like a big headgear. Like if you have those amateur headgears, that don't bother with your vision. Not really. It's not really. It's just that you'll feel uncomfortable wearing it because you usually don't wear it that small when you train. You usually wear with a big one with a lot of padding with it. It's just like when you box. Most people always want the advantage of the person that they spawn with. They'll lie and say, "No, no, I'm all right." They'll lie, but it's a lie. They they'll get in the ring if they can. They'll try to put on a pair of 10-ounce gloves or 8-ounce pair of gloves instead of a 12 or 14-ounce gloves. I remember when I was fighting, every fighter would have an argument before he would spar because they would always try to get the upper hand. In some cases, maybe somebody might have had something inside the glove because I've seen the best fights was always in the gym. Forget about the fights
Yes.
that you
Yes.
saw on TV. The best fights was the gym fights because those was like straight up wars. You wasn't nervous, you wasn't scared. It was wasn't a lot of people around, so you felt comfortable fighting that hard. So a lot of people, got messed up in the gym before they even went out to the actual fight.
Okay, now Matt, what are your thoughts on the headgear?
Um, I think they did more damage than good. It because it just added 2 inches, 2 inches on both sides of your head. So if a punch would normally slip, you'd slip it. You're gonna catch it on your ear protection, and your head is gonna twist. And the twist, your brain is just hanging out. Like it's a cool sunny day, and all of a sudden the brain or the cranium swivels, and the brain is shot in a ball of jelly. Okay, so that's what happens. So you just increase. It protects against cuts. The last thing you want to do is get a cut under your eye or over your eye a week before you're supposed to fight because you may lose the fight. They may not even let you in the ring if there's a cut. So you want to protect against the cuts, but it increases the size of your head, the size of your target, and yet you're still taking the brain damage. So it's protecting the cuts, but not the brain. The padding is more negative than positive. If I was to start again, I would wear like an amateur headgear that they fight in that only protects around the eyes from cuts and don't worry about the brain. You cannot protect the brain because what is the goal? Knock the other fighter out. That is the
Yep.
goal. In a body shot or a head shot, knock them out. How are you going to protect them? Teach.
I'm I'm just surprised they haven't come up with anything yet because I know in football they're supposed to be working on a safer helmet and all this other stuff I keep hearing. I
Yep.
would figure they would. I would figure they would, build something for boxing as well. But Bruce, you have any thoughts on this, Bruce?
Yeah, my mom had encephalitis, when I was a child, and I remember how serious everybody was at the time. Everybody was crying. It was such a thing, and so I know about the swelling of the brain and water on the brain, and I know how fragile it is. And I remember seeing the film where the doctor discovered how this was such a common thing in football players. How suicides and premature deaths, and it was it's it's such a common thing, and I know it has to be brought out into the open. But what I wanted to do, Matt and Tyrone, I wanted to ask you, go back onto that Rocky situation where the manager took all of his money, the towel fee and the training fee and this and that. He ended up with $25. I know that we got the tragic story of Tim Witherspoon from the Frank Bruno fight, which everybody knows about. I'm sure you guys could elaborate on that one. But does that happen anymore in boxing today, where fighters are getting a big purse and not knowing it, getting double slammed by the manager, the promoter, and all these other expenses? Is that going on today like it did in the past, like the Rocky movies and like it did in real life with Tim?
Well, I can say this: it is true, and it happened to me. So I just say you like that. I fought from 1981 to 1998, and my first world title fight I fought in Korea, in Seoul, Korea, and I came home with $338.
Oh,
Tell that story, please, Tyrone. Go ahead, tell that story.
You know, it was funny. Um, okay. I'm training. This is back. Okay, I'm in Harlem. I'm training in Harlem, and my manager calls me up. His name was Frank Shaka. He tells me, Tyrone, guess what? I said, what? He said, you're getting a title shot. I said, oh, that's bullshit. Yeah, no, you're getting a title shot. So I said, okay, no problem. Good. When? He said, I think it's going to be in February. So we started looking for a new trainer. He didn't like the trainer that I had. So I said, okay, so who you got? So he brings Billy Giles. I meet Billy one day, and I meet Teddy Atlas. But Teddy Atlas was working out with some other fighters at the time, and he felt like he couldn't do it at that time. So okay, cool. So I had a friend of mine help me out. He's a guy who didn't know nothing about boxing. So I said, well, maybe I should wait and get him at another time. I said, nah, this is the best time to get him. You can knock the guy out. It's easy. You got 18 knockouts. You got 22 fights. You got the power. This guy's not that good. I said, okay, well, all right, let's go. So I asked him how much I'm getting. So I know the minimum is usually like 50,000, even in the voluntary title defense. He said, "Oh, don't worry about the money. That's the problem with you guys. You're always talking about the money." I said, "Yeah, it's always about the money." So he said, "Okay, well, I'll tell you later." All right, good. We're on the plane. We're going to Seoul. Take about 18, 19 hours. There's about 8 people on the plane, so I can sit anywhere I want. It's the first time I get, first class without somebody saying no. Go sit in the coach. So I get to Korea. It's cold. Everybody's wearing masks. Believe it or not, this is 1986, and they wearing masks now. They wear masks. We gets there. This is the God's honest truth. Gets in the hotel. It's called the Soylent Hotel. Get in the hotel, and the man knocks on the door. So when he knocks on the door, he opens the door. It's him. It's like 3 girls with him. And I'm like, hey, what's going on? He said, yo, pick one. I said, yo, what's wrong with you? He said, what? I said, yeah, I got a fight coming up. He said, oh no, this just a real. I said, man, get out of here. So right there, that shows you that they was gonna do everything in their power to make sure that I wasn't gonna win that fight. Gets to the fight, so it looked like it could have been a school. They put me in a room with freezing. They give me like a Bunsen burner, like a little. It wasn't even a heater. It was something that you put firewood in, and I'm in there shivering like crazy. So all the things that they tell you to do when they want their fighter to win, they do. They do it. Now get back to Frank Shaka. All right, I'm coming home. We're in the airport. He tells me to come see him the next day. Go home and just come see him the next day. He tells me all this BS. All this was that. All that was that. And this is the breakdown. I said, well, how much is it? How much am I getting? He said 382. It was $338. And that's what I got for a world title fight.
Tell me you won.
No, I got my ass kicked.
Wow.
If I would have won, I probably would have got a little bit more. I might have got $600 instead of $300. But
Wow.
I think that still happens in boxing
Hey, I
because
want to
it's
jump in
no
real quick.
way that Mike Tyson. Okay, when you're a successful person, period. This is the way I look at life. If you're successful, even if you're not that smart, just a little bit of common sense is always going to carry you far, especially with your money. If you signing autographs and you going here and you going there, that means you ain't put your money in the right places. And that's another bad thing about boxing. What happens in football, basketball, baseball, and hockey, but mostly in boxing. They say Floyd had a $300 million fight. All right, we all know that half of that's going to get taxed. So he's down to one. Let's say he's down to 130. Then he got to pay the promoter, which he doesn't have a promoter, so he pays himself. But if you're still fighting after you made almost $1 billion, then that's something's wrong there.
So
Nobody want to get beat up.
let me
We
ask
like
you a
beating
question.
up people, but we don't like getting beat up.
Let me ask you a question, man. Let me ask you a question because you know what I'm saying, I had to jump in. I let
Hmm.
Troy run this because Troy is very passionate about this. I am as well, which is why I do this. Even though I'm doing other stuff on the back end, I make sure I pay attention. If somebody falls off, I let them back on and stuff like that. You know what I mean? I'm passionate as well, but I've had ideas about this as well. So you guys let me know because I mean I can't. I've actually wanted to talk to you, Matt, on the background, so Troy can make that happen. But you know, I have a health insurance license, a life insurance license, all these things. But not only that, I've always been a supervisor, so my mentality is always high level. It's not thinking, yes, I can put the small components together, but I think on a high level on how it reaches those small components, right? So what I'm thinking about is like, so when it comes down to this, right? So are we in need of some legislation, right? And how do we get there,
Yes.
right? Or some legislation that can at least, right, say that, hey, there's an option to where it's something where it's in the contract that says, hey, all right, I'm siding with this promoter, right? Almost like when you sign up for a company where they offer you insurance, right? And you have the first 60 days to sign up for it or not sign up for it, right? Group insurance, things like that. But on when it comes to promoters, things like that, I haven't looked into it. But I'd be willing to look into it. I'm the type of dude that will call a company and ask them those questions. You know what I mean? I will talk to marketing and human resources in the back end and all of that to figure out if it's feasible for their company. However, what I'm saying is there something that needs to happen through legislation and then go into to the contracts. It needs to be part of the contract when you sign with a promoter or a manager or advisor, whatever have you, right? Where it needs to be said that, hey, there's an option here for even you to insert your own money, even if there's not actual insurance companies willing to back you up, right? But there's an option for this fund where you can put your money. So that way, when you retire or something happens to you, right, there's also the part that comes in through the promoters and managers that where they have to insert it, almost like an insolvency, program for each state when it comes to health insurance or life insurance, where, hey, even if they run out of money, now the promoters and managers have to kind of back that up because they themselves became insolvent, right? You
No,
understand what I
but
mean?
they're gonna tell you. It's like it's okay. So it's gonna be a thing like you can't tell me what to do with my money because
Right.
they was trying. Peter King was trying to get some legislation passed
Mhm.
about
Right.
5 or 6 years ago. He was trying, but I can't tell you what to do with your money. I
Yeah,
just
but
can't.
McCain was also working on that too, man. May he rest in peace. But you know what I mean? Like
Who?
McCain.
John
Oh,
McCain.
oh yeah,
John
yeah,
McCain.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
McCain,
yeah,
yeah.
McCain was
But
working on.
you
He was
can't
paying attention
tell
to
you
it.
can't tell a person that's his own. It's like
But you can
I
regulate
remember
business though. You
my
can
second
regulate business.
manager. He wanted to put fighters on the stock market. He had
Mhm.
came up with a good idea, but the thing was, how long do a fighter really last? So
Right.
if my stock is up today and I get knocked out next week and I was really on the rise, how
Mhm.
does like how are you gonna make the money? The thing is like how are you gonna make the money? Forget about making the money now. How are you gonna keep the money? How are you gonna invest the money? Who
Right.
like why should every promoter that has money has 3, 4 top fighters, but at the end of the fight game, them 3, 4 or 5 fighters don't have no money.
Right.
That means to me, only to me is I want to make money for you, but I don't want you to have money like me.
Well, that's
Like
why we need to get into that legislation because at the end of the day, there should be a percentage that can be because if you're in the business of something, there should be some type of regulation
look,
to what you
okay,
have
but you know about
to
money.
spend.
If all right, if I'm a politician and I'm a congressman or a senator and I'm making real stuff that makes sense to the people in the world. I'm not gonna let a boxer have more money than me. I'm just not gonna do it.
Yeah,
If
nobody
you
said
if you
yeah.
look at it, they always say these absorbing amounts of money that these fighters is making. But why doesn't the fighter have the money at the end of the rainbow? We got a lot of world champions. Number one, is too many divisions. That's number one. We
Yeah,
got too many.
hold it though, because I think we're going two different ways. So I want to make
Okay.
sure we're on the same page. So what I'm
Yeah.
saying is just like in a group matching program with a company, right? Like
Yeah.
if they don't want to invest in themselves, the company doesn't have to, and you know what I'm saying, match that and come in. That's not what I'm saying.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is, but the company is not going to throw their money away that they don't if they feel that the guy's not worth. Okay, how many boxes are you going to do it for? You're going to do it for 50 boxes, or you're going to do it for 1,000 boxes, or
Well,
you're going to do it for
what I'm talking about is
10,000 boxes?
percentages. What I'm talking about is percentages of a purse, right? So a purse is a
Okay,
purse,
but the
right?
percentage. All right, how much you going to take out of a 4-round fighter or a
But that
6-round
depends
fighter?
on his purse. That's what I'm doing. That's what I'm trying to get to you. It's his
Yeah,
purse.
yeah, I
The
understand.
percentage of
I
his
get that
purse.
part. Yeah,
So
I
if he only
understand that
makes
part. But what I'm saying,
if
how
it's
you going to make
1%
the
and
money
it's
grow?
$400, right? If it's 1%, right, of $400, right? Then what we got? $4, right?
All right, but how many? All right, how many people are going to contribute to that $400? How many fighters are going to contribute to that money? Like I said, you might ask a guy, and the guy might say, "Yeah, okay, I want to do it." Then you might ask another guy, say, "No, I ain't doing it."
But that's
Then
where the
are you
option
going to do it
comes
for
in.
people that's in
Remember?
the United States, or are you going to do it for people in different countries?
Well,
No, but
see,
that's what I'm.
if I can say something on this
Option.
subject, man.
Yeah.
See, boxing had a great ally in John McCain. John McCain was for the fighter, and John McCain wanted a national boxing organization where it wouldn't be corrupt with the WBAs and WBCs, where he wanted pension plans set up. He wanted boxers registered. I mean, he had major plans for the industry, because, and this was when it was in its prime, when there was HBO After Dark, and when Showtime was coming alive. But nobody else was on a boat with him, and it's sad because when John McCain died, the whole bill that he had died. It never even got heard before the House because nobody else would back it, and it's a shame.
Yeah,
And
because like I said, there's no money. Like okay, when you work, you get a pension and you get Social Security. So you're working weekly. You get a paycheck weekly or bi-weekly. So you know what you're putting in. How many fights of a fighter? All right. Does the fighter that has 8 fights deserve it? Does the fighter that has 50 fights deserves
well,
it?
see, that's why he was going to create the commission where they would determine who was eligible, yet it would be overseen by the federal government, so
All
nobody would
right,
be
then
getting
you're
ripped
gonna
off.
kill boxing because you're gonna move the promoter out of the way. You don't need the promoter no more. You don't need
Well,
Donkey.
no,
You don't need
we
No, no,
Barbara.
no.
still
You
You
don't
don't
need them
know.
no more.
No.
promoter.
Now it's gonna be
But
governed by the government.
no, it's not governed by the government. It's just overseen, just like our income taxes are overseen. If they operate shady, then the commission will move in, and take them out, replace them with somebody who will be honest. But I mean, do you guys remember Houston Boxing Association with Josephine Abercrombie?
Yeah, Abercrombie. Yeah,
I mean,
she had down there in Texas, Houston. Yeah, I remember
exactly.
her.
And fighters were clamoring to get on the HBA because, man, she had a plan. She had pensions, she had medical plans. And she must have had 500 boxes because she put. I remember she put on
Okay.
many.
There's my question and one answer at the same time. What happened?
That's the problem.
What happened? That's what
She
I'm trying to
planted the
tell you.
seed, but the tree never grew.
There's no real money. There's no money there. Like
I mean,
people think
Well, see, it has to be
it's like
beyond money.
entertainers.
It
Why
has
is
to be an act of
entertainers still
compassion.
entertaining? Because they're not making a lot of money.
let me step in here
Why
real quick, y'all.
actors
Hold up,
and
y'all.
things
Let me step in here
they
real.
all get messed up.
Yeah,
How could
because
a
you know
guy
what,
like
Tyrone.
yeah.
I want to step in real quick because I keep hearing there's no money and different things being shot down. But we had a man on the show last week. And, he's been running his organization for almost 30 years. It's always money, but it's just the will to find it.
Yeah,
And there's always a
that's
way, but
okay.
it's always the will.
That's the point. That the point
Yeah,
that I'm trying to put is it's like when you get your pension, you're gonna get your pension every
I got
month
that.
because you work 25 years or 20 years or whatever. In boxing, how you gonna get the pension if you're not putting the money in somewhere where the money can grow? The money has to
Okay.
grow. Like you can't say, okay, I'm gonna give up 10% of my purse. All right, let's say I only fight 30 times. I'm not gonna make the same amount of money every fight. So how who's gonna invest that money so that money can be there? And let's say when I'm 55 to 60 years old,
That's a
what
lot of
entity is
questions,
gonna
but
do that for me? Who's gonna
right,
help me
right,
to
but
make
that's a
sure
lot
that
of
I have that
questions.
at the end of the road?
I
Now,
got
if
you.
they ain't figured it out since the 1800s, and we in the 2021 right now.
I don't believe that. I just believe that once you start something, because because first of all, we don't have any examples of anything that
Uh-huh.
actually help boxing. There's a whole lot of can't, but I'll tell you what, you have to start the thing first. After that, that's when you start putting your checks and balances in place,
Mm-hmm.
and you go from there. I mean, you're going to make mistakes along the way, but you learn from your mistakes and grow. There's always money out here. It's just a matter of having the knowledge to find it, and then
Okay.
how to use it properly. And then as
Uh-huh.
far as the knowledge, you could parcel the knowledge out, and that'll help you grow. But too many times, I'm gonna say, well, too many times, man, when somebody wants to help, they get chopped off at the knees saying, you can't do this, you can't do that. Yes, you can. You just have
Yeah,
to take
yeah.
the risk to
But
do it. Yeah.
okay, okay. Like yourself, you're true to the game. You really, really, honestly want to help. But look, you got the WBC, you got the WBA, you got the IBF, you got the WBO. You probably got some other. Why are they not helping fighters that made a
I'm
lot of money
I'm gonna tell
for
you the same
those?
thing I told you
Yeah,
last week.
but they are. They
You can
are.
only work with the ones who want to work with you. Tyrone,
But
you
you
can
should
only
be able
work
to
with
pick
folks
and
who want to
choose.
work with
You
you.
should. It's just like in
And
football,
also,
basketball,
brother,
baseball. Everybody gets a shot at the pension. You
Tyrone,
get a
see,
shot 5 years or
independent contractors.
however years that you play the NBA or the ABA or the Major League Baseball. You know you got something coming for you to help you down the road. In boxing, it's right there. Either you make it or you don't.
No, but see that independent contractor, that word has changed a lot in
Yes.
the eyes of the government. Before promoters could just write it off independent contractor. They can't do that anymore. That's too much of an easy way out. They found out. Boxers have to be covered. There is pension plans available. They just have to look for them, and man, they have to reach out. And taxes have to be paid, papers have to be filed. But there are people who will do that for boxers who need it to be done. The only thing I'm saying, bro, I have to jump off, but I just want to say there are agencies and there are things available out there, and it's great shows like this that Troy Major Key put on. My brother Tyrone and Matt. You get out there and you do the grassroots operations, man. God bless you for it. And I have to jump off. I'll be listening, man, and anything I could do, I'm going to be in touch with Ring 10 org. I have been in the past, and all I can say, man, God bless and keep pushing, brothers.
Salute to you, Bruce.
Thank you. Thank you.
Popping out. And Matt, I
Thanks,
know you
Bruce.
wanted to
Thank
follow
you.
up. Matt, I know you wanted to follow up. I've seen that you've been trying to come up. Are you on mute? Because we can't hear you.
Matt, are you on mute?
Matt.
Did you just take off earphones? Because if you did, just make sure they're completely disconnected, if that's the case. Well, while he jumps on, man, I think we just need to start the conversation, which is what's going on right now, because I am the type of dude, like I said, man, I've worked with health insurance companies. Okay, I think he's in the background. With health insurance companies. Hey, man, I understand the difficulties of dealing with them, man, but I'm appointed by a lot of these we call them 5 major companies. You know what I mean? I'm the type of dude that will call them and see. That's why I say I want to talk to Matt in the background, because I'm a natural born salesman, bro. I will literally call them.
You probably got a great pitch when you throw it out there. But like I said, we still dealing with boxers. We still dealing with individuals that got their own mind on what they want to do when they get their money, especially when they get to the to the high spot in boxing. They want to, hey,
that's why
did you think about what you're gonna now? If you go there and tell them, like, listen, I got a way to put your money to, so it could be working right now. So let's say in 15 years you'll have some money. That's gonna be hard to try to sell it to that to somebody that doesn't understand money. Only thing he's thinking about is spending it.
I understand. What I'm trying to say is, man, look, all I gotta say is, off air we could talk about this because you know, the reason that I'm a great salesman is because I don't think about selling. I'm having a conversation. I'm having a conversation and a deep rooted conversation. You know what I mean? And what I'm talking about is that at the end of the day, this is why I brought up the part of legislation and all of that. Some things need to be put in place, and some things need to, you know, some people need their hands forced. But before you actually can approach them and say, hey, okay, I understood your hand was forced, but hey, guess what? There's a way that you can look good for your company. Your company can look great if we can do this. And here's how the numbers are going to look. Here's how we can spread the risk. Insurance is basically just the spreading of risk. You know what I'm saying? And so, you know what I mean? You just, you know, you look at the probability of people actually having to use that money, and the risk is spread across the board. That's what insurance is. So if we can make sense out of that with numbers, right? I'm the type of guy that will present that. And I'm not talking about, hey, I got a great pitch, because right now we're just kind of like, you know, picking brains, and we're just, you know, floating ideas around, right? But when it gets down there, because I've been in boardrooms, and so that's all we're doing right now. We're just kind of like, you know, pitching ideas around. But when it comes down, once we got a solid plan, I'm telling you right now, man, like things can work. I know I have to have a good feeling about this, man. It's all I'm
okay. Here's another story of mine. This is my story. They were starting that back in 1990. This was my third title fight. This is the third time that I'm fighting for the world title. I'm fighting a guy named Manuel Menteca Medina, good fighter. I thought I beat that fight. I won. I didn't get the decision, but I won that fight. Well, after the fight, they had a thing for the boxers down the road. So you have some type of pension down the road. So they took $600 for me. They asked me, did I want to join? I said, yeah, good. Yeah, I want to join. Maybe like about a year later, they said, nah, Tyrone, it's not working out. It's not too many people want to volunteer. They purse like after they fight. So
where'd the money go?
Matter of fact, I still got the receipt from when after I cashed the check. So it's been a lot of people that did try to do something for the boxers, but then it just died.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't mean that we can't keep trying. Look at what
Mr.
Hoax.
Hold up, always trying. Long as we here, we never gonna say no. We never gonna say no to nothing, because it's always a way that somebody could figure it out. Say, okay, look, this is how this is done.
Right.
This is how we're gonna make sure this is done. This is how we're gonna protect the fight.
Let me just respond to this comment. I know Matt wants to go next. He just came back in. But listen, Witness the Hoax. I had to highlight this because he said the government can give promoters incentives to protect their fighters. He's absolutely right, because like I said, I sell health insurance, right? And what it is with health insurance is when you get a Medicare Advantage plan, right? That's subsidized by the government. They create these networks, basically with the Part B premium that these folks pay, that goes now to the private insurance company that's contracted by the government, right, to provide these services within their network. Whatever they do with the pharmaceutical companies, the pharmacies, and the providers and the specialists and all that, that's what they do. And then they give kickbacks to these folks depending on how much they actually kick out, depending on the state, because each state gets different allowances. But I'm just trying to say, there's ways to really like start a foundation to move forward. I know back in the days there wasn't as many amendments to old laws. You know what I mean? To old laws that started in the 60s have been amended so many times over and over again, to where now we have different ways of viewing it, how we can get our foot in the door. But Matt, go ahead, man. I know you've been trying to jump in for me.
I want to talk to you privately, so you got to get me take my number, whatever it is.
I'll make it happen. I'll make it happen.
I don't want to be a negative. I don't want to be a downer. But I've been through this road for 20 years. I've discussed it with everything with politicians. Now, boxing is a very unique sport, very unique, because there is no season, right? Doesn't do the spring, the summer, the fall. It's 12 months a year. Fighters fight whenever they want to fight, okay? You could fight once a year. You could fight 10 times a year. You could have 2 fights, be a professional fighter, and you say you're retired. Where's my pension? Where's my money? Where's my retirement fund? Well, you only had 2 fights. You didn't put anything in. right? How are you going to do that? How about a fighter that has 25 fights? He's got 24 wins, 1 loss, and then he gets badly hurt on his 26th fight. I mean, badly hurt, and they say, "Listen, you're done. You can never fight again." No, no, no. I need 30 fights to move to the next tier. I need 30 fights. I need 4 more fights. Please let me fight. Nope, you're done. No more. No commissioner is going to give you a license. What do you do with him? What do you do with these old guys that fought for many years that are out there suffering from CTE, brain damage, and everything else? Are you going to incorporate them in? I would love to talk to you, and I've discussed this for 20 years. I had a politician in my pocket. John McCain was also another one. Loved boxing. John McCain loved boxing. I spoke to him many times about how can we do this. He says, "Matt, we're going to get this done. I promise you, we're going to get this done." And then I got a phone call. From his wife, he passed away. What? He passed away. So
what happened to all the work he was doing, Matt? I'm sorry for cutting you off. What happened to all the work that he was doing?
Gone. She knows nothing about it.
Okay.
She knows nothing about it. She had no connections, nothing about it. And I don't know how deep he was in it, but I spoke to him many times. I met him one time. And I was honored to speak with him. I had a lawyer that we talked to for years, and he was implementing a whole bunch of things. And then got a phone call from his wife. He passed away from a heart attack. What? Yep, he passed away. And, how do I say this to his widow? Hey, by the way, can I have access to his computer? So that's gone. I tried years after that. I gave her a good amount of time to quiet down, and I tried to get into it. She had no idea what I was talking about, but I spoke with him many times about this. The problem is it's an individual sport. You are individual contractors that don't have. You're not like a painter that's going to paint for 20 years. You're a fighter that's going to last for 5 years if you're lucky, 10 if it's crazy. If you're crazy good, 10 years. What are you going to put in? What are you going to take out of my paycheck that I'm gonna get 20 years from now? I don't want it 20 years from now. I want it now. I gotta feed my family. I gotta pay the bills. I gotta pay my rent. Don't take money out of my pocket now. It's a very special sport. And what's his name? Mike Tyson and Floyd Mayweather. They make 20, 30, 50, $100 million. You know my biggest payday? I don't know what Tyrone said. I heard him, but I couldn't hear him. My biggest payday was $5,000 after 13 years of boxing. It was $5,000 gross, and I didn't get any of it. Okay, that's the truth. But it's still, where's your payday, Matt? Where's my $1 million? Where's my $100,000 payday? Well, you on TV. Why didn't you make that money? Because there's not that much money out there that you think. Now, I know I seem to be ragging a lot, and I don't want to be negative. I'm trying to find the positive. I'm just telling you that people don't know. They'll see a guy on TV. Oh, that guy's rich. He's making a lot of money. When the truth is he's not. He's not. And they're prostituting them. They'll use them. They're going to abuse them, and then they're going to lose them. That's our motto. Use them, abuse them, lose them. Get rid of them. Get somebody else in there. That's got to stop.
It's got to stop, man. I'm definitely looking forward to a conversation in the background.
We got to talk.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Let me step in here because we
Oh, sorry.
I'm gonna go ahead and because we over the hour mark. I mean, so y'all want to keep it going? That's cool. But I think I'm gonna cut it. I'm gonna shut it.
Go to sleep or something, man?
No. Let me say my piece. Let me say my piece because I got to go far just to bring it back home as to how I feel about the thing, right?
Do your thing, man.
Yeah, because to me, I hear a lot of can't and what can't get done, and everybody's entitled to their opinion. But to me, I see things. I come from a people that were told that we were furniture, less than furniture, but we still got our freedom. I grew up in a third world country, and then I came here, and my people were given swamp as land, swamp with quicksand in it and all that, and they worked that land and turned it into $1 million worth of land, right? Millions, right? So to me, there's always a way to do something. To tell a man like me you can't do something. Hold on, man. To tell a man like me you can't do something, I just feel a way about it. I see a purpose here, So, I get real passionate. I don't know it like you know it, Matt.
Right.
But, I logged on and I jumped in feet first, and I'm not going to go anywhere because I see a purpose here. And it's like every week there's a can't, there's a can't, there's a can't. But, anytime you have a purpose, there's always a can. So, you gotta excuse me if I'm a little pissed and my chest is hurting me because I'm pissed off a little bit, but I'm okay. We're still good.
No, I want you to be pissed. I want you to be pissed.
Right, right. But we got to work on. We actually got to work on the can. We actually got to work on the can because you can't have a foundation.
Yep.
If every time somebody shoots an idea, there's a no, there's a no, there's a no. At some point, we got to start building somewhere, or else I'm just wasting my damn time, and I don't waste my time. All right. So,
Troy, let's hook up, man. We're gonna hook up together and we're gonna figure this out.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Who's up?
I guess Major Key has something to say. Go ahead, brother. Go ahead.
No. I mean, like, I think, at the end of the day, this is great convo, man. Like, it is what it is, man. Like, I'm shooting out ideas, other people shooting out ideas. You know what I mean? And as long as we're talking about it, then that's a positive in itself. Because, at the end of the day, there are, like I said before, man. I know what Bruce was saying earlier. He's talking about it, and I know what you were trying to say. Like, at what point, how many fights, and this and this and that. And that's a difficult question to ask, but the question has to be asked because it can be just like Medicare, where you have to work a certain amount of quarters before you get that. You know what I mean? Like, so it can be like that. But what's the number? What's the magic number? And those are things that people talk about, and we have to look, like I said, at the risk. And assess all of these different variables. It's not an easy job. If it was, somebody else would have done it already. But I think that all of us in here are smart enough to where we can at least combine minds and come to some type of approach to the situation.
We need to talk. We need to talk privately. If you can't get my number, you can go to the website Ring 10.
I'm gonna text it to him right now.
Troy's my brother, man. He'll give me a number, or if not, he'll send you my number. It's all good.
Okay, all good.
Yeah, man. Yeah, but yeah, man. Like, I definitely. This is why, like I said, I open up my panels every Wednesday to you guys. You know what I mean? Because I understand, and I've been just brainstorming in the background. Just thinking like based on my skills, how can I help this situation? So I just been looking at a couple things here and there, and just obviously I don't see the whole picture, but I'm willing to see the whole picture in order to start breaking stuff down, because once I see something, my mind operates in a way that I simplify things. If you guys have not seen me debate in boxing, you got to start watching some of my interviews and some of my open panels, because I simplify things. Like, I look at things in a broad spectrum, take everything in and just simplify it. That's just the way my brain operates. You know what I mean? And I guess it goes from years of being a supervisor and and all of that. Not to knock anybody else, but I'm just saying, like, it's just the way my brain thinks. I just think like that.
I would love to talk with you. Man.
Let's make it happen. Make it happen. So,
Definitely.
man, I'm gonna put myself back in the background, man. Sorry for interjecting, but I feel passionate also about this, man. I had to jump in when we were talking about the different ideas, So I'm gonna drop the link one more time, for anybody that wants to jump into the open Q&A, unless you want to add something to it. I'm gonna jump in the background. This is Troy, hosted by Troy Graham today. So I'm gonna fall back and let y'all brothers chop it up.
So nobody's leading us. So guys, if anybody's interested, if they search Ring 10, like the number 10, they will find Tyrone, myself. They'll find all the things that we do, all the fighters that we help. I don't like to make it public knowledge about we're helping this guy. I bought this guy a sandwich. We don't do that. That's not what Ring 10 does. But there's a lot of information, and we are a non-for-profit 501c3. So if you donate to us or you give to us, it's a write-off. It's a legal write-off, just like UNICEF or anybody else. So we would appreciate any help that anybody offers.
Yes.
We lost everybody? No, you didn't. I was just giving him the information. Okay. But look, we're going to close it out. So, I want everybody to give their closing thoughts. I'm going to start with Tyrone and going from there. I'm a Matt, and then I'll go ahead and close it out. Let me just say this, right? Let me say this, and then it's kind of personal. Have nothing to do with nothing. Well, it does. So I turned 50 2 days ago, right? 2 days ago, and I remember my mother telling me at 18 when I was leaving for the military, the doctor told her I wasn't going to live to see 12, right?
Whoa.
I shouldn't have gotten in the military. I had to take the stress test twice. I got a heart problem, just to let you know what I'm talking about. So that's all done. I come out, and they said, well, you know, you built up too much muscle on half of your heart. So basically, I'm working with a heart that operates sometimes at 60% at best, right? They told me I wasn't going to live to see 35. I'm 50. So to me, I don't believe if you're really passionate about something that you can't do it.
Oh, right.
You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, definitely.
How I got in my house is that I helped it get built. I died 3 times upstairs from heat. Well, I didn't die. I passed out from heat stroke and strokes, period. I was out here 90-degree heat, helping to build the house that I now live in. That's how much I push. That's how much I push if I believe in something. You're going to have to kill me. You're going to have to kill me to stop me.
Let's fix the sport together. You sound motivated. Let's fix the sport together. I'll work with you.
All right. Well, let's go then.
Yeah, we got to do this.
Yes. Big ups.
Definitely. There are a lot of fighters out there that need help. People don't know it. They think they're all living in a mansion on a hill somewhere because they made money. And that's if they were lucky to make money. If they were lucky to make money. Most of them did not make money. But the few that did are not living in the mansions. Most of them have lost most of their money and they're suffering from CTE brain damage.
Yeah, that's true. Go ahead and give your closing thoughts, Tyrone and then Matt.
No, this was good today. This was good. I learned a lot. I like your friend, the insurance guy, because looks like to me he's really gonna he's gonna make something happen. Like he's really gonna be like he's gonna open a door to where something's gonna happen. Will have to happen. Like, you know, with all the boxing organizations out there. But you know, I like that. So that makes me feel good.
Matt?
Listen, I always appreciate getting on these calls and making it known. Like I said, unfortunately, people watch a fighter. They watch a baseball game and a football game, and the guy has a season, and the guys are making they know where the salary, you know, 10 million, 20 million, 30 million, and then they watch a fighter and they think, well, they're on TV, they're making a fortune of money, and they get knocked out in 3 rounds. I could do that too. But they don't know how many years it takes to get to that point, and they don't know that they're really not making a lot of money, and that the government and everybody else are going to take a good percentage of that. You're going to pay your manager, your trainer, your cut man, and then Uncle Sam, and then what's left in your hand is not much near what you got paid. People just don't know it. It's not a rich man's sport because Tyson's making 20 million. Everybody's making money. It's not true. Not true. The sport needs help, and I'm looking for any kind of advice or tips or connections.
All right. Well, all right. We got to start somewhere, man. You know, I was always taught you got to have the faith of a mustard seed. So, you know, that's where it starts.
30 years. 30
that's
years.
Where it starts.
Haven't quit yet. 30 years I'm working on.
Good. Well, I'll tell you what, if I'm around for that long, I'm going to stand right with you and help you as best as I can. But
let's get it done.
At some point, we got to move past the talking and the can'ts and just get the damn thing done, right?
And we just got to, we got to do.
Yeah.
We got to
exactly. Do. So I'm going to wish you gentlemen well because my chest hurts. So y'all have a good night, and I'll talk to y'all. I'll talk to y'all next week.
You got it. Thanks so much.
All right, man.
Take care.
Thank you. All right.